Consent here. And I'm on airplane mode, so we shouldn't be interrupted. Let's awesome interview that way. So just to start off with, can you tell me a little bit about your chronic pain? Or I know you said it was like a weird discomfort sensation. So like how it started, and then I'll be asking you some questions. This is more of a narrative interview, and then I do have some points where I have to hit with all participants, but we'll just see how it goes.
So I guess it started in like the end of August, beginning of September 2010.
Okay.
So at that point, I was entering my senior year of high school.
Okay.
And I was running, and like back then, like running was just like my everything.
Okay.
And then I started getting this dragging sensation in my leg, and it just like built up for about a week, and then at that point, like it wasn't ever really pain. It was just like it really affected my gait, and it felt like my leg would just kind of like stiffen up. So at that point, like I stopped running, and like I started seeing like doctors and physical therapists, and just didn't really get the sense of that like the physical therapy wasn't helping, and I was just like being very frustrated with the experiences of having with doctors. And then I used to follow like running message boards a lot, and like I heard someone talking about this thing called like a torn labrum and like a femoral acetabular hip impingement, and like what they described just fit what I was experiencing exactly. And at that point, I think it was maybe December, so it had been going on for a long time where I couldn't run, and it was like trying to and I was like getting all these x-rays and like trying to figure out what was happening. And then at that point, like I saw a doctor who specializes in these hip surgeries. It's like in this like hip condition, and got like got the special kind of MRI, and had surgery, and
oh, you had surgery. Wow.
Yeah, and then like it was like minimally invasive, you know, but I was kind of like laid up for 2 weeks, and then like started coming back, like in terms of walking and biking and running very soon. And then it was a thing where like I never really had more than like a month or 2 months where I could do the activities I wanted to do, and I feel like for me that's kind of what like my experience of it more than anything, because it's never like when I think of like chronic pain, I think of someone just like having like really sharp pain, and for me like it was like I was never like ow, it was just like this like dull ache, or like sometimes like especially the first few months before I had surgery, like it would just like ache a lot, and then afterwards it just kind of been that I like get this dragging sensation, and like I just know like that's the same thing, and like there are times when it'll be less, like when I'm doing physical therapy on my own, and like there are times when I'll like it just kind of comes and goes. And
wow. So even with surgery, it hasn't been eliminated.
Yeah, and like it got better for a while, like for a few months, and then it like came back, and then I like did a lot of physical therapy, and then it went away, and then it came back, and then eventually like I tried running in college, and I just quit because I just couldn't. It was just like too frustrating.
Sure.
And yeah.
Are you able to run at all now?
No. Like there's every so often I'll say like, okay, like I'm gonna make a comeback, you know, and then like it's just like over the last like 4 years, the comebacks are just like less and less. So like at this point, like I've run like half a mile in the last 3 months, and then
How much were you running before your injury? Or I don't even know if we could
Yeah.
call it an injury, but
Um,
were you on like a high school team?
yeah, I was on a high school team, and like I think the summer, like right before I was injured, like I was running like maybe like 40 to 50 miles a week.
Oh my gosh. And when did you start running? Like how old were you?
Like 14.
Okay. What was running like for you?
So I think it was great, and like I think I see my life a lot in like terms of attachment, and like I feel like
Yeah.
running for me was like this really secure attachment, and like the first I don't know, like the first time like I felt like I was like really seen, that like I feel like I wasn't necessarily like seen by my parents, but like I had like a really strong attachment to my to my coach in high school.
Okay. How did you get into running?
I think I just like decided to
Yeah.
do it, and then it just kind of stuck. Like I just really enjoyed like the physical sensation of it, and I really enjoyed like the community and like the relationships that I
Like your
formed.
teammates? and-
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and like
So
def-
doing like cross country then?
yeah, like
Okay.
and then track and
Wow.
and I guess like that I feel like the deepest relationships I formed were like with my teammates when I was running with them, and then like
Oh my gosh.
so like like with my closest friends from college, like I met when I was running on the team, and like I don't know, it's like a sense that like this is like a big loss in my life. that, like,
Absolutely. I think that's what we're kind of thinking about here too. Chronic pain does introduce such a sense of loss, and it becomes so personal. But I don't think that's something that the medical team gets to see all the time, because it's a condition in their eyes. So we don't get to see that personal meaning behind it, and that's kind of what I wanted to think about here. So you did mention that there were some frustrations. Can you tell me a little bit about what that was like? Trying to address this situation with healthcare physicians or whoever, like therapists. What was
Yeah.
that like?
I think there was sorry, it's hard to remembering back. I mean, I think with a lot of the doctors and physicians that I saw, like it felt very much like maybe they weren't taking me seriously, or that like they thought I would pass. Then of course like I had a lot of second guessing myself, that like, is there really something going on? Like, how much of this is in my head? Like, and like
that sensation that you had?
Yeah.
What are some things that they did to make you feel like they weren't taking you seriously?
So, I don't know if this exactly answers it, but but like one like diagnosis I got was that I had like a floppy labrum, and that it was something that would just like firm up over time, like as like my I don't know, but it I think so I can try and remember specific moments, like maybe that'll come back over the course of the interview, but I think
That's okay.
like the main thing was like it was just a sense of like it should be better now, that it would be like, okay, like do this, and then like it'll be better, and then like I'd like start running again, but it would come back.
Yeah. How frustrating.
And I think also that like I was getting like X-rays, and like it didn't show any stress fractures, and like it wasn't like people could like see or find anything.
So it got you second guessing yourself.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
I don't know. I think maybe in some ways like it encouraged me to like take on this like super competence, where like I like write all these notes of like
Okay.
and then like come in with like my like activity logs,
Sure,
and
yeah.
to like try and be like really prepared. But then I think like I do that, and like I also feel like like I'm this like 17-year-old kid like how much do I know? You know, and like also wondering like if like the fact that I was like if they thought I was a hypochondriac too, you know. But
Before this, did you have any kind of other injuries or diagnoses that made you work with a healthcare team for a long time? Like anything in your childhood or anything like that?
no.
So this was like the first incident?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you work with anybody currently to manage your chronic discomfort? I'm trying to figure out how to call it, you know. Do you see anybody regularly or?
Not regularly.
Mhm.
Kind of what's happened in the last few months is I did actually see the doctor who did my surgery
Mhm.
around Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
That I went in
In
for-
2015?
Yeah, in 2015. So
5 years have passed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And like in some ways it was.
Mhm.
So I think I both had like expectations that,
Sure.
and was also like, I'm not going to get anything out of this. And anyway, but like I think it was nice in that the doctor had a lot of like he just has like this really great bedside manner, but I think it was also frustrating for me because it was a very short, like maybe like 5 or 6 minutes, and then he just kind of wrote me this prescription to get another MRI, and I think it's something kind of going in. I said like I don't want more tests, but then like when I was with him, I was like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And then afterwards, I just felt like it doesn't really square with my values. It doesn't really square with beliefs I have
You're
about
right.
about like a medical tests in general. That like what he said when he wrote the script was that like this is clearly something that was like affecting my quality of life, or like it was something that like I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do, so like it was worthwhile just like getting this MRI. But then like I thought about what that I mean like I don't think the MRI would really show anything, and if it showed anything, I'm not gonna get another surgery, and I'm yeah, and it just seemed like throwing me this test so we could say that like, well, like we did something, we tried, but it just didn't seem like I don't know, like I worked for a little bit in hospice, so like I just had this sense of just like I don't know, just like the like hospice values of like more medical interventions is like not necessarily better, and
Right. And to be able to respect patients' autonomy is very important.
yeah. So anyway, that was the doctor, and then I kind of decided to try acupuncture like last week, and then I did it once, and I just I don't know, I feel like because it's not pain, it's not really helpful, and that I feel like I maybe in some ways like I know what I need to do more, like just to sorry, so it's like I saw the acupuncturist, and then I went home, and like I like tried Googling to see if there was like a connection between people with this hip surgery or this hip condition, and like acupuncture, and like just something that someone said kind of stuck with me, that like it was just more about just like getting certain muscles to work again, and that's kind of fits with what physical therapists I respect and who were able to help me told me, and that like it just seems like that I don't know, that like that maybe that's also something that like fits with my values more than like going and like paying for community acupuncture like every week, and it just so anyway, those are like my medical
I see.
interactions.
So when you got the prescription to get the MRI, did you end up getting it this second?
No,
You didn't?
no.
Okay. Were you able to tell all this to your doctor that wrote the prescription?
No.
What do you think held you back from telling him that?
I don't know. I mean, I think it would like held me back in the moment, or like held me back now from like calling his office. And saying,
Well, I guess, yeah, or does it even seem fathomable to have that conversation when he's there with you? Because you were saying he had this great bedside manner, but something gets in the way of you expressing yourself honestly, like, look, I don't think this MRI is going to do anything for me. And you're not alone in that experience, you know? When I do these interviews, these patients are like, yeah, they never listen. Like, you know, so what the patient wants never gets communicated to what the physician is trying to do for them. And so part of my question is like, what gets in the way? Because it's so important. Oh, what are you feeling?
I think I just cry all the time
when you're talking about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe in the room what kind of held me back was like this sense of hope that like I could get the MRI and then I could come back and like we could do something and like figure this out and like I.
Oh, that frustration is so painful. I have some Kleenex here, if you want.
Yeah.
Monsters Inc. But I guess it is a very tender part of you. It could take some time to just. Have you had much opportunity to talk about this with anybody?
I mean, I think I have, and I think it just surprises me how much like in a lot of ways it's kind of become less upsetting and like healed over with like the loss of running and the frustration of like kind of like trying to come back and like
Sure.
and not, and I think like I had it with like this to some extent with friends, and like I have like with a therapist, but it's just something like it feels like there's like it's not like it's just always gonna like replenish like the sadness is just gonna like there's not really an end to it.
Right, you're still grieving in a way, you know. And there's no wrong or right way to go through that, but I know how frustrating that could be too. Like, why am I not over this yet? Oh my gosh. Can you tell me a little bit about like what it was when you were running? I mean, it really took you away. Like, I could see how much it brightened you up. Only if you want to share. Yeah, it just seems really special to you.
Yeah.
So it is such a tremendous loss.
Yeah, and I think what you said about it, like brightening it up, like that really resonated with me. But I think for example, I would kind of in high school I'd just go through the day just being like very, very quiet, and then like I'd get to practice and I'd become this like very like exuberant person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I
wow.
think it was a time when like I felt really alive, you know. And then yeah, and it's I have like all this like I don't know if it's like I have all this nostalgia for something that was like so long ago, you know, and like who knows, like I mean, like I don't think I'm completely idealizing it, but it is just something that's so distant, you know.
It's a really important part of you. Are there certain things that you do to try to recreate that? Of course, it'll never be the same, but whether it's like walking, I know it's not the same.
Yeah.
But part of that's like, and I'm assuming this was running outdoors too, and just being able to do that, and having that outlet is huge.
Yeah, and I think the main thing that's replaced that is hiking. That like I've
Okay.
gotten very into like long distance hiking, and I think yeah, it is definitely kind of like chasing after that feeling, and yeah, and so like it, I'm pausing and like kind of thinking about this postcard that I sent to my high school cross country coach this summer when I was on a hiking trip, and like
this summer.
Yeah.
So you're still pretty close and you stay in touch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And I like I think I just wrote something along the lines of that like hiking was great, but like I would just like trade it in a second. You know, that like just the feeling of yeah, like I don't know, like the feeling of being alive isn't quite there, and like and like the very like practical ways of like that like running is something you can do every day, like when hiking is something you can do 3 times a year, you know.
Right.
And yeah, like too, like thinking about friendships, like it.
Definitely. Are you able to run shorter distances at all?
No, I mean like maybe I could be, but I think at this point I'm just not. Like I ran like every time I go on a hiking trip, I come back and I say like, okay, I'm gonna like run now. So like this summer I was able to go on like a few mile runs with friends, but but I've run
15 miles a week.
but like I've
Wow. Gosh, that's hard. I really appreciate you sharing with me.
It's nice to be able to talk.
It's so important. You've mentioned different kinds of providers, like acupuncturists and physicians. So if we think about communication, what kind of styles do you work best with versus what kind of styles do you not like working with? Because ideally we like to think of treatment as a collaboration. But, you know, certain communication styles will work better than others. So what do you think, for you at least?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, so I think not directive, that, and so, like, as much as like in some ways it'd be nice to have like very definite answers and like very definite like plans, I think I wouldn't trust that. I think yeah, I mean I think
you raise a good point. Why do you think you wouldn't trust it? Like, I agree with you, but I have my own ideas of why. So what makes you say that?
I don't know, or like maybe the sense of like nothing's really worked, or that yeah, that my, I don't know, my body won't necessarily respond the way.
You're right, it's not cookie cutter. So you prefer for a provider to not have these like definite plans right away without exploring that with you first?
Yeah, and I think I mean I think the main thing I want is like to feel like understood or listened to.
Yes. What are some things that providers do to help you feel understood?
Um, um, So like one example would be with with the doctor who did my hip surgery, Dr. Wolf, that he I mean, like he got how important running was to me. That like,
Oh, okay.
even as he was like suggesting this MRI, like it was because like he said that like he saw how important it like running was, and the fact that I wasn't running meant like let's do something, you know.
Okay. So he did listen to you.
Yeah, yeah. And just as a person, like he's a very I guess just like soft-spoken, kind person.
What are some things, or have you encountered any providers where you didn't want to work with them because of the communication?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like over Thanksgiving, the same day that I went to see Dr. Wolf. I saw this is like my Dr. Dales. It's
Sure.
my primary care physician, and I also had this like foot thing going on, so she recommended that I see a podiatrist, and like it was very nice that like he squeezed me at the end of the day as like a favor to my physician, but it was just like very rushed and like I just felt really just like beaten down by the medical whatever, that like I just very much had a sense of like it was just like in and out and like do this like get these like inserts and like you'll be okay, and like I had concerns about getting more x-rays of my foot, because at that point I had like 5 x-rays of my foot in the last few months, because like anytime I go to like I went to 3 different doctors, and like he was a third, so like anytime like they'd be like, great, like let's order new x-rays.
Did you tell them about your concerns?
Yeah.
What did they say?
No, it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
What's that like for you when you mention your concern and they tell you, oh, it's fine?
I mean, I think I mean, definitely part of me is like, well, I'm like second guessing, and I'm just like you know, like maybe it is like I don't know like what effect the radiation on like on my foot what like has on me, right? So like I think like they very well could be right that like it's fine, you know.
Did you feel reassured?
No, like not at that point. I think like earlier in that day when I had next to my hip, like the
you were beaten up. Oh my gosh.
The like x-ray technician there, like I can't like pinpoint the specific things that he did, but like I did feel like listened to and like listened to like of his concerns, and like he was like place this like ledge,
the shield,
like right there, like and so it's like
well, the demeanor could change so much. They could totally reassure you, or it could make you feel dismissed. So and I think that's kind of like part of what I'm looking at too, with like what the communication is like, because it could be the same message, but how you say it can be so different. Let's see. So you've been in treatment kind of on and off for 5 years. So how many doctors do you think you've worked with? You said you went to 3 different doctors for x-rays at one point. So, you know, this is like, I don't need an exact number, but roughly how many doctors do you think you've worked with by now about this one issue?
Yeah, so just to clarify, like the so like I had my hip thing, and then this summer when I was hiking, I developed foot chronic, it was now chronic foot pain.
Oh,
But
gosh.
so I saw one doctor and had 2 sets of X-rays when I was like hiking in Idaho.
Mhm.
And then I came back and like in September I saw a doctor for that, and then like another one in November. So that was like 3 doctors,
my
but
God.
for my foot. So that's
Oh, okay.
it's different from my.
Do they ever think that your foot pain is related to your hip pain?
um,
Like somehow with alignment or whatever, or if it's compensating for what's going on with your hip?
no, and like it's never really come up.
Okay.
I mean,
Mhm. I've had similar things too. I fractured my toe, which made me eventually throw out my back because I was walking funny to compensate for my toe pain. So it
Yeah.
led to lower back pain. So you know how like everything's connected that way.
Yeah.
And it can be so frustrating. So I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
But so then back to about the
Um,
hip question then what
Yeah.
the number of doctors you've worked with.
So so I think in terms of like MDs, I think
Mhm.
I've seen 3. So 2 in like maybe September and November of 2010,
Okay.
and then Dr. Wolf in January 2011,
Okay.
let's say. So those are like 3 doctors, and then in
Mhm.
terms of physical therapists, I've seen, I guess it'd be 4 physical therapists. So
Oh,
2, no, hold on,
Mhm.
4 or 5.
That's okay.
So like 1 or 2 at the same practice
Mhm.
in fall 2010,
Mhm.
and then 1 in like spring and summer of 2011, like after I got this hip surgery,
Mhm.
and then 1 in fall and winter of 2011 when I started coming to school in Chicago, and then 1 for my foot and hip this past summer.
Oh my goodness. Do they collaborate with each other or is it?
So the 2 of the physical therapists collaborated with Dr. Wolf. So like there was I grew up in DC and I had the hip surgery in DC.
Oh, okay.
And Dr. Wolf is in DC. So like he referred me to the physical therapist I saw
Mhm.
afterwards, and then he also had like a colleague physical therapist in Chicago, so he referred me
okay.
to that physical therapist.
Mhm. And how often do you work with a physical therapist?
So with I think the longest one
Mhm.
was with Phil, the
Mhm. Mhm.
so was with Phil, the physical therapist I saw in the after coming to Chicago.
Mhm.
And that was, I think, like maybe it was like 2 8-week
Mm.
rounds.
Sure.
And
it's-
like twice a week.
Twice a week. Okay. And for how long each session?
Maybe like an hour.
Okay. And in the meantime, was medication ever part of your treatment?
No.
Okay.
Like I had heavy painkillers after the surgery.
Sure.
But and I think I also had I also had doctors and coaches like suggest I just take
Mhm.
like a lot of like Advil or like a Aleve.
Do you take a lot of Advil or Aleve?
No, like
Mhm.
there've been periods when I've done that,
Mhm.
but
Do they work?
in not really for my hip.
Okay. So it wasn't really helping, so why take it then?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm getting from
Yeah.
you. Okay. Speaking of like how you like to like spending time in treatment, what would you say is the ideal length of time you would spend at a doctor's appointment? You know, what would you think? I feel up to you.
Oh, yeah, I mean, billing wasn't.
Exactly. If you didn't have to think about billing or the wait times or anything like that, but to get good care, what do you think would be an ideal amount of time?
I don't know, like 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes in the first visit.
Sure. And what about frequency? Like how often would you have liked to have gone to see them with follow-up and things like that?
I mean, I think, so with, it's hard for me to think about because there are so many different like types of doctors or like types of providers that I've seen. So like with MDs, like I think less frequently, like maybe like when like it's like when like if like maybe it was like an active issue, like maybe every like month or 2 months, and then like let's say like I had the surgery and I was fine, and just like follow up of like increasing intervals. So like maybe like a month after surgery, and then 3 months after surgery, and then a year after surgery, and 3 years,
You were thinking about MDs for that question. Why do you think that is, that you're trying to see them less?
I mean, so I think maybe there's several different many reasons. So one might be that like I do have a sense that like their time is really valuable, and that and even though like insurance pays for most of it, that like it does seem very I don't know if it's like indulgent or like unnecessary to like see them so often. And I mean I think also that I don't really know if like the type of thing that they're looking at or looking for is like the most helpful, where like physical therapists like are like looking at like how you move and like how
it's much more hands-on.
Yeah, so just like have a better sense of like how I'm doing, like what I need to be doing.
You're right. So that kind of involvement makes it different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever canceled any appointments?
Canceled acupuncture. And I think I don't think canceled. I think just like didn't go back. Like
how do you determine whether you go back or not? How do you make that decision?
I mean, I think if I feel heard by the providers,
very important.
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, I think that was why I didn't keep going back to the same 2 doctors I saw before Dr. Wolf, and like that's why I didn't go back to like the physical therapist I saw this last summer for my foot.
You didn't feel heard.
Yeah. Right. Or
what were some things that they were doing to make you feel like you weren't being heard?
I feel like there's more than what I'm gonna say, but that I think maybe I just like felt like they were moving pretty quickly. I think there's also like this sense that I had of myself in like in relation to them, that like I was like, I don't know if it's so much like worrying that like I was being, or I don't know if it's like worrying that like I was being seen as this like hypochondriac, or like the sense of like my um like my problems aren't legitimate, or if I think I mean, I think to a certain extent, like I also didn't feel I don't know, like personally connected to them. Like I didn't feel like they had positive regard for me. Like I felt also that like I was different with them. That I was just like maybe more like withdrawn and
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. It's understandable. You know, what you're getting at is like dynamics between two people. Do you think the same kind of rules apply in social situations for you? So, you know, so for example, I'm hearing like, you know, if a provider makes you feel heard and makes you feel like, you know, they're on the same page with you, you'll probably go back to them. You know, so is it the same thing where if someone makes you feel like you need to withdraw from them, like does it happen in social context also, or is there something about the physician population that kind of brings that out? What do you think?
no, I think it definitely happens for me in social situations
Too. Okay.
that like I can think of like that feeling of like not being heard or being seen in like
So is that something
my
you're
last like romantic relationship, and like I can think of ways in which I do like can also just like withdraw like in social situations if like I feel like
So it's something that you're aware of.
yeah.
Okay, that's pretty neat that you put it on the forefront, because a lot of times people are not attuned to that. So probably why you're also SSA. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Have you ever had any providers cancel an appointment on you, like the reverse question? Okay. Let's see. So I guess this is kind of like the overall summary question. Do you think, like with all these different things that we talked about, and a lot of that's like relationship between patient and physician, does that impact the treatment that you have for your hip? Like overall, would you say so?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. Do you think your relationship dynamics impact the treatment for your hip? Like how you decide on how to treat this issue that you're trying to resolve?
Yeah, I mean, I think it impacts whether I go back or not. I think.
Sure. That makes all the difference.
Yeah, and I think also like the, how willing I am to do it, right? That like with Dr. Wolf, like he was just such like a great presence that like when he suggested getting a second MRI, like I almost did it, and like when like he did suggest the surgery back in 5 years ago, like we just kind of like went right ahead, you know, like I just had like a lot of trust in him.
Take the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, so like I think it wasn't. So and I mean like a lot of things are different, but again like it just kind of just like went right for it in like a way that I don't think I do now.
Oh, I see. Do you keep in touch with him? Well, I know you saw him on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, like I don't like send him postcards or anything. But.
Not like your coach. Do you think you will be revisiting him?
I don't. I mean, I think. It's. I don't know. I think I did think very briefly had like on a to-do list, like
Mhm.
send him an email or like call his secretary and like say like thanks, but like I won't be following up with MRI, like and like could you write another prescription for physical therapy, but
Mhm. So you like the physical therapy?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it seems like that's the best thing right now. Like the one that's showing you progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though there were setbacks.
Yeah. Maybe just more attention.
I think that's a really good point. What do you think it is about attention that makes you feel more hopeful with it?
I don't know.
That's okay. So for now, you're kind of on the physical therapy side.
Yeah.
You don't want to go back to acupuncture
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah.
What was that like, acupuncture?
No, it was it's pretty nice. It was community acupuncture, so there's like other people there, but and like I think yeah, and like I did like think about running and like cry a little bit when I was on the so like it in that way like it felt like a very like meaningful
Sure.
experience. But I think like just like the different concerns of like financial and like transportation and like it takes so much time. Like I just wouldn't do it. Yeah, so like now I think it is just doing the physical therapy exercises that like I know how to do, that like I
Sure.
and just like doing that on my own.
Okay. Have you set any goals for yourself since you are doing it on your own right now?
Yes and no. I mean, I think like trying not to set hard goals, because I think or like
What would be a hard goal?
like
What do you have in mind when you say that?
I'm gonna do 15 minutes of physical therapy every day, or like I'm gonna check off the exercise I do on this like sign I put on my door, you know, which are things that I feel like I've done that. It's just always been really discouraging. And so now just like trying to do something every day.
Yeah.
Most days.
Okay. I think we've covered all the areas that I have outlined. Was there anything else that you want to include or add on?
I think yes. So I like maybe because I'm an SSA student, but whatever. I do think of myself in terms of like attachment a lot, and like clarifying the survey questions that like I think and a lot of them like they might like be the like middle of the range, if that makes sense, because like sometimes like I'll just have like really really ambivalent feelings like about my last boyfriend, for example. So
Sure.
So like it's yeah, like I feel the number will be 4 or 5, but like how I felt when I was writing was just like
That's
torn.
I think that's part of like the limitations of research too. Yeah, it's really hard to kind of quantify these experiences. So I think that's really worthy to mention. Thanks. Anything else you wanted to add on or share? Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
For
This is
giving
really
me the
great.
time and the space.
Absolutely. I feel like I could go on. Like, you have a